My reincarnated wife married her old flame, but 10 years later, she was consumed by regret. I rescued my wife, Scarlett Miller, from a massive fire, an act that left me blind while my parents perished in the flames. Scarlett vowed to take care of me for the rest of my life. But just 1 year later, Scarlett resented me, seeing me as nothing but a burden. One day, on my way to the hospital, an accidental fall miraculously restored my sight. I rushed home, eager to share the good news, only to find her entangled with her old flame, Ethan Hayes. I overheard their conversation. "That fire didn't kill Sincere Clark back then," she said. "Even though he's blind, all the inheritance is still in his name. He has to die." "All right," Ethan replied. "I'll poison him tonight, don't worry." That night, Scarlett and I both drank the poisoned wine. We died, only to both be unexpectedly reincarnated back at our wedding ceremony. 10 years later, at a birthday banquet, I stood with my arm around my fiancée, Victoria Beaumont. Scarlett, however, was in the crowd below, questioning me. "You said you would love me forever. Does that still count?" Chapter 1. Scarlett Miller and I were both reborn at our wedding ceremony. Facing all of Scarlett's relatives and friends offering their blessings, I felt nothing but contempt. Instead, I turned my head, looking with disgust at Scarlett beside me, and then down at her old flame, Ethan Hayes, in the audience. The two of them were exchanging glances, making eyes at each other. I ripped off my tuxedo jacket, threw it violently onto the floor, and spat out, "The wedding is off. I will not marry Scarlett Miller. We are officially breaking up." Hearing this, she wasted no time, rushing down from the stage, grabbing Ethan's hand and declaring, "We are officially getting married. I refuse to marry a useless waste." The relatives and friends stared at me in disbelief, whispering amongst themselves, "What just happened? Everything seemed fine a second ago." Sincere Clark must have finally grown a conscience, realized he did something terrible to Scarlett, and decided to run, right? Finally, he's out. He was never good enough for our Scarlett anyway. Good riddance. After being her lapdog for years, almost thought he'd made it. Looks like he just got dumped. I listened to their sarcasm and scorn, lowering my head in silence. It wasn't worth wasting my breath arguing with a bunch of fools. Then, I walked straight towards the main entrance. Scarlett's parents, David and Helen Miller, immediately blocked my path, saying anxiously, "You can't leave. What will happen to Scarlett? Are you calling off the wedding?" I let out a cold snort. As I lifted my head to retort, I saw Scarlett had already pulled Ethan onto the stage. They were exchanging vows, and she placed the wedding ring I had prepared for her onto her finger. She pointed at me and yelled, "Get out of my wedding right now. You're not welcome here." The officiant seized the moment, announcing, "Let's invite the bride's parents to the stage to say a few words." Her parents shot me a glare, listened to Scarlett, and stopped trying to block me, heading towards the stage instead. In my past life, after I went blind, their attitude towards me changed drastically. They often urged Scarlett to divorce me, constantly demeaning me, trying to convince me I was useless and didn't deserve to be with Scarlett. This life, I was granting their wish. I clenched my fists, gave a contemptuous smile, and answered her demand with the sound of my rapidly departing footsteps. The farce of this wedding was finally over. In what felt like moments, I was back in my long-missed home. In this life, my parents were alive and well, not consumed by fire. My eyes were not blind. I sighed, realizing how wonderful everything was. My eyes welled up. I knelt on the floor before my father, Arthur Clark, and said, "I agree to study abroad. I won't marry Scarlett Miller anymore." In my past life, I had rejected the life my parents planned for me, studying abroad, insisting on marrying Scarlett, leading to a huge argument before I left home. Later, when I brought Scarlett home to meet them, they treated me coldly, threatening to throw me out. I shamelessly stayed overnight, and that was when the raging fire broke out. In the panic, I risked my life to save Scarlett. When I tried to go back for my parents, my eyes were suddenly blinded by the accident, and so my parents died in the sea of flames. Scarlett held me, sobbing uncontrollably, vowing to care for me forever. In the days that followed, because of my blindness, I couldn't find work. We had to live off the inheritance my parents left behind. Barely a year passed before Scarlett started seeing me as a drag, often complaining, having to wait on a blind man. When will this life ever end? If it weren't for the money he has left, I wouldn't suffer through this with him. Even though I felt immense resentment, I didn't dare show it, letting her complain. After all, my blindness was my fault, otherwise we wouldn't be living like this. Then came the routine hospital visit, where I unexpectedly tripped and fell. When I woke up, my sight had miraculously returned. I rushed home, only to see through the window Scarlett entangled with her old flame, Ethan Hayes. "Did you miss me?" she asked. "Yes, I missed you. I want you," he replied. "That fire didn't kill Sincere Clark back then," Scarlett continued. "Even though he's blind, it let him live an extra year. But all the inheritance is still in his name. He has to die." "All right," Ethan agreed. "I'll poison him tonight, don't worry." Listening to their conversation, images of my parents perishing in the fire flooded my mind. So it was them who set the fire. It was all their premeditated plan. I had been kept completely in the dark. Before, I often felt guilty towards Scarlett because of my blindness. Now, looking back, it was utterly ridiculous. That night, Scarlett invited Ethan over as a guest. Pretending to still be blind, I welcomed him warmly. While they were flirting in the kitchen, I swapped the poisoned wine Scarlett had prepared. After we drank, I immediately exposed their scheme, revealing the secret of my restored vision. Seeing their plan was foiled, they tried to overpower me. Shortly after, both Scarlett and I collapsed, dead from the poison, only to be reborn together back on our wedding day. This life, I will embrace a brand new beginning, and I will make you both pay the price. Chapter 2. A flicker of surprise crossed my father Arthur's eyes. He asked, puzzled, "Weren't you set on marrying Scarlett Miller? Weren't you giving up studying abroad?" I lowered my head. I was immature before. Only now do I realize I never actually loved her. I regret it. My father frowned, pointing at me sternly. "This is nonsense. Do you think marriage is a game? Where's that determination you had before?" Now you know regret. My heart trembled. I didn't dare argue back. I recalled my previous life, the adamant promises I made to my father. I will marry Scarlett Miller. I won't study abroad. You can't stop me. My mother, Eleanor Clark, held my hand, trying to dissuade me gently. "Don't be impulsive. Marriage isn't child's play. Besides, what's so great about her that's worth all this?" I had violently shaken off my mother's hand, shouting, "Whether she's good or not is none of your business. I like her, and that's enough." My mother staggered back, collapsing onto the floor, staring at me wide-eyed. My father was speechless with anger, then slapped me hard across the face. Slap instantly, a burning pain spread across my cheek. Furious, I stormed out of the house to find Scarlett and never looked back, never visited them again. On the wedding day, not a single one of my father's relatives or friends attended. I faced disapproval and disdain from others. This life, none of that would happen again. I regretted it. My mother quickly helped me up and said to my father, "The boy regrets it. He knows he was wrong. It's not too late for him to come back now. Since he wants to study abroad, let him go. Anyway, I never liked that girl from the start. Who knows how things would turn out in the future." Hearing this, my father didn't press the issue further. He stood up and left. Afterward, my parents arranged for me to study abroad. This departure lasted a full 10 years. Just before boarding the plane back home, my phone rang. It was my fiancée, Victoria Beaumont. I answered, and she said, "Honey, are you about to board the plane back?" "Yes, baby. I'll be waiting for you at the birthday party. Guess what birthday present I got for you?" I glanced down at the pearl necklace in my other hand, prepared for her. It was a birthday gift I had bought at auction for $10 million. During my 10 years abroad, through my own hard work, I had developed cutting-edge intelligent AI technology. Using this technology, I started a workshop, which later grew into a company, earning more and more money. I became a well-known tycoon overseas. Later, through friends, I met Victoria Beaumont and fell deeply in love with her. You coming back is the best gift for me. Love you. Wait for me. I'm coming back. Okay. Passengers for flight 368, please proceed to boarding. Departure is in 10 minutes. After hanging up, I stepped onto the plane heading home. Chapter 3. At the birthday banquet. Scarlett Miller, dressed in an evening gown and arm in arm with Ethan Hayes, entered the hall, drawing the attention of the guests. Ethan had started his own company over the past 10 years, and most people at the banquet had done business with him. Scarlett had become the typical wealthy wife, her days mostly consisting of dining and leisure. Upon seeing them, someone holding a glass of red wine approached, eager to flatter them. Mr. Hayes himself graces us with his presence. Forgive us for not welcoming you properly. So this is the famous Mr. Hayes, truly distinguished. I hope we have the chance to collaborate sometime. Mrs. Hayes, you look more beautiful every day, Mr. Hayes is truly fortunate to have married such an understanding woman. Mrs. Hayes and Mr. Hayes are such a perfect match, made for each other. What hope is there for us single folks? Hearing their words, Scarlett couldn't help but laugh, saying calmly, "It's all thanks to my Ethan. I was just lucky enough to marry him." Ethan became even more arrogant, saying smugly, "We were invited here by the Beaumont family this time. In the future, my company will also be representing their latest intelligent AI technology. We'll be counting on you then, Mr. Hayes." Hearing this, their eyes instantly lit up, bowing and scraping as they said, "When the time comes, if you need any help from our companies, we'll be at your beck and call." A smirk played on his lips as he accepted a glass of wine. "Well, if you insist." As they were chatting happily, one person teased, "Mrs. Hayes must have had many suitors back in the day." "Yes, how did you have the sharp eye to choose Mr. Hayes? I heard that someone courted Mrs. Hayes for a long time, almost got married. I think his name was Sincere Clark, right? He must deeply regret it now, mustn't he?" Hearing the name Sincere Clark, the smile vanished from her face, replaced by a pale, livid expression. Ethan, standing beside her, his face hardened, turned to look at Scarlett, remaining silent. The atmosphere instantly chilled. The person who asked the question realized their mistake and quickly tried to smooth things over. He must have done something terrible to Mrs. Hayes, so he got dumped. After a few seconds of silence from Scarlett, the questioner stammered awkwardly, I might have said something wrong. Please don't take offense, Mrs. Hayes." A moment later she replied with some disgust, "It doesn't matter. Everyone encounters a few scumbags when they're young. Thankfully I came to my senses back then. Besides, he's just an insignificant nobody. Haven't seen him in 10 years. Maybe he's rummaging through garbage now." Ethan let out a snort of laughter. The guest quickly forced a smile, picking up the thread. Mrs. Hayes is right. Otherwise, how could she have ended up with Mr. Hayes? It's fate. Scarlett offered a polite smile but didn't continue the conversation. Suddenly, I opened the door and walked in. Her head naturally turned, and she saw me. She slowly walked towards me. I looked up, surprised to see her again. The world is vast, yet at this moment it felt incredibly small. Following the principle of out of sight, out of mind, I turned to leave, but she called out to me, sneering, 10 years and your fashion sense is still terrible. Haven't improved much. Just looking at you is disgusting. Did you take a wrong turn? The trash dump is down the street, turn right." She scoffed, her eyes filled with mockery. I gave a slight dismissive smile, spreading my hands. I was invited. "Sorry to disappoint you, but I don't collect trash." Ethan walked over, putting his arm around her waist, mocking me. "You? Invited? Are you bluffing? She dumped you at the wedding back then and married me instead. I bet you really regret it now, huh? Too bad she's my wife now. You were just Scarlett's little lapdog. He was wrong." I didn't regret it one bit. Apparently she hadn't told Ethan about her reincarnation. This time around, I hadn't continued being a lapdog. Chapter 4. Scarlett circled me, looking me up and down, continuing her mockery. 10 years and you haven't amounted to much, have you? I'm Mrs. Hayes now. Ethan runs a company. Everyone here knows him, most of them rely on us. Look at your shabby appearance, Ethan chimed in. How about I show some charity and toss you a couple of bucks? Unfortunately, I'd give it to a dog before I gave it to you. Stop dreaming. I received an invitation from the latest intelligent AI tech company this time. I'll soon become their corporate agent. And you? You're just a waste, he emphasized the last two words, syllable by syllable. I recalled my assistant handing me a file about a domestic company seeking agency rights. So, it was the company they started. Looks like the agent for the intelligent AI technology was about to change. They were celebrating far too early. Other guests gathered around, discussing amongst themselves. So that's Sincere Clark, the lapdog who pursued Mrs. Hayes back then? Mr. Hayes said it himself, must be true. He can't even compare to half of Mr. Hayes's looks, let alone be worthy of Mrs. Hayes. Exactly how could someone like him end up at a birthday banquet hosted by Mr. Beaumont? He must be lying. As I listened to them and was about to retort, Scarlett interrupted, drawing my attention by flaunting the pearl necklace around her neck. Her eyes shone with triumph, a smirk playing on her lips as she continued, "You've never seen a necklace like this. Have you let me open your eyes today? This is the 10th anniversary gift Ethan bought for me overseas for $3 million. You couldn't afford it in your last life, and you definitely can't afford it." In this one I suddenly remembered the last life. She wanted to give a ring to a friend and argued fiercely with me about it. Because my parents had just passed away, I didn't agree. But she secretly used our funds to buy the ring anyway and gave it straight to Ethan Hayes. He then flaunted it on social media. Thanks to my bestie for the Valentine's Day gift. She really thought I was an idiot who knew nothing. When I confronted her at home, she accused me of overreacting, saying it was just a gift and nothing happened. We had a huge fight over it. This life, whether I could afford something or not, was my business alone. It wasn't her place to dictate. I looked closely. The necklace around her neck was identical to the birthday gift I had prepared for my fiancée, Victoria Beaumont. I immediately concluded that the one she was wearing was a fake. The auction house staff had explicitly stated that this pearl necklace was unique. A second one couldn't possibly exist, and I had already had mine professionally appraised. It was genuine. Ethan had deliberately bought a fake to deceive her. A 10th anniversary gift, how laughable, I snorted coldly. A mere $3 million? Especially for a fake? What's there to brag about, what? Scarlett frowned. Are you blind? Spouting nonsense, what rubbish are you talking? Ethan shouted, sounding a little flustered. I asked a friend to buy this pearl necklace. It's one of a kind. It can't be fake or not, only you know in your heart. I shrugged nonchalantly. Seems like in your eyes she's the easiest person to fool. He strode over and grabbed my collar. Don't look for trouble here or I'll make you pay. Even if I beat you senseless, I can afford the compensation. Others saw the commotion. Not wanting to make a bad impression, Scarlett quickly intervened, pulling him back and giving him a meaningful look. After he released me, I brushed off my clothes and muttered, "So dirty." What did you say? Just then, the host of the birthday banquet, Richard Beaumont, stepped onto the stage. The room instantly fell silent. He spoke warmly. "Thank you all for coming to celebrate my daughter's birthday banquet. You are all leaders in your respective industries. I hope for your continued support in the future. Next, I'd like to invite someone to the stage to speak. He is also my daughter's fiancé for this banquet. He's going to invite the fiancé on stage now," I murmured under my breath, taking a deep breath. Ethan rolled his eyes dismissively. "You think it's you? What are you getting excited about?" The next second, Mr. Beaumont pointed directly at me and announced loudly, "Please welcome my daughter's fiancé, Sincere Clark, to the stage." Both of them stared at me in utter disbelief, their faces turning deathly pale. Chapter 5. I walked straight onto the stage, put my arm around my fiancée Victoria's waist and said, "Baby, I'm late." Not late at all," Victoria replied softly. From the stage, I saw the people who had mocked me earlier turn pale and lower their heads, especially Ethan Hayes, whose face was white as a sheet. I addressed the crowd. I'm fortunate to meet you all, and even more fortunate to have met the person I love most in my life. Let me introduce myself. I am the founder who developed the intelligent AI technology, and I will soon be Ms. Beaumont's husband." A stir went through the crowd below, murmurs erupting. The moment I saw him, I knew he wasn't just anybody. I wasn't wrong. Look how distinguished he is standing next to Ms. Beaumont. They're a match made in heaven. Only 4 words can describe it: talented man, beautiful woman. I heard he also founded a company overseas and came back just for Ms. Beaumont. Such deep affection. Listening to them, I glanced over at Scarlett. She was gritting her teeth, looking like she wanted to eat me alive. Additionally, after consideration, I've decided to change the partner company for this collaboration, I continued. Everyone will have a chance. Hearing this, the eyes of the people below lit up, causing quite a reaction. "On what grounds?" Ethan yelled from below, eyes wide in defiance. "It was already agreed upon." "You want to back out now? On what grounds?" "You know perfectly well in your heart," I retorted sharply. "Do you really want me to spell it out, Ethan Hayes?" Someone in the crowd grumbled discontentedly. "Mr. Hayes, you can't just think about yourself and not us. After all, having the chance to partner with Mr. Clark is an honor for us. Are you saying you don't intend to give up the opportunity?" Yeah, this is Mr. Clark's decision. The final say isn't in your hands. Do you still think you have a chance? Stop dreaming. Mr. Clark is already being generous by not holding what happened earlier against you." He was furious but didn't dare say more, simply accepting the reality helplessly. Scarlett stared at me intently from below. After finishing my speech, I took out the pearl necklace from the auction and said, "Baby, this is the birthday gift I got for you." Scarlett noticed the necklace was identical to the one she wore. She turned her head to look at Ethan beside her. Ethan guiltily averted his gaze, looking anywhere but at her. As I fastened the necklace around Victoria's neck, I said, "This is the birthday gift I bought for you at auction for $10 million. It's not a fake, don't worry. Besides, people who wear fakes don't deserve to wear the real thing. I love it so much, thank you, honey," she exclaimed, hugging me tightly with a beaming smile. Scarlett finally realized Ethan had deceived her. She immediately ripped off her necklace and threw it violently at him. Watching Victoria and me affectionately together, Scarlett, from below the stage, pointed at me and instinctively questioned, "You said you would love me forever. Does that still count?" As soon as she said this, the crowd instantly fell silent, all eyes turning towards me. Victoria also asked, puzzled, "Honey, who is this?" I replied softly, "Just someone insignificant. There's only one person I love. You forgot what we used to say?" She pressed on unwillingly. "You said you'd love me forever." Seeing she still wouldn't give up, I feigned ignorance. "Excuse me, miss, do I know you?" "I happen to be engaged." "You shouldn't just say things like that. You need to be responsible for your words. After all, my eyes aren't blind. I definitely wouldn't be interested in you. Instead of wasting your energy trying to win me over, maybe you should pay more attention to the man beside you. Besides, your husband is standing right there next to you after my barrage of questions and retorts," she stammered, unable to speak. Meanwhile, Ethan's expression had changed beside her. Truly a shameless creature. With that, he walked straight out of the banquet hall. I teased, "Your husband stormed off in a jealous fit. Aren't you going to chase after him?" Scarlett shot me a glare but didn't have time to argue, rushing out after him. Mr. Beaumont didn't say much more, simply announcing that the birthday banquet would continue. Much later, the banquet ended. Victoria and I set our wedding date for a week later. The new corporate agent contract was given to another company. The next evening, a friend I hadn't seen in years, Jack Davis, invited me to the KTV he owned to catch up. I readily accepted. His real intention was to get me to invest in the KTV. Out of consideration for our friendship, I didn't agree outright but played along. As we were chatting happily, I saw a familiar figure pass by not far from me. I rubbed my eyes, afraid I was mistaken. It was Ethan Hayes, arm around a beautiful woman, swaggering out of the KTV. Chapter 6. So I turned to Jack and asked if Ethan Hayes had been to the KTV before, if he was a regular customer. He initially refused, citing client privacy. In response, I agreed to his request for investment in the KTV. Hearing this, his eyes lit up. Excellent, I gave a humorless smile. So, about that client privacy? What privacy? Tomorrow, I'll print out a list of everyone and send it over to you, he said, puffing out his chest. I stated bluntly, just Ethan Hayes' information. Then I learned that Ethan was actually one of the investors in this KTV. He frequently spent time with various beautiful women there. In my past life, I had noticed Ethan often surrounded by different women and discovered he was juggling multiple relationships. I had warned Scarlett to stay away from him, that such a friend wasn't worth having. But Scarlett accused me of meddling, retorting defiantly, I know my own best friend. You don't understand him this life. I finally had leverage against him. On the way home, I saw Ethan's car parked near a hotel. He escorted the beautiful woman inside, solidifying my suspicions. A knowing smile spread across my face. It seemed the time for revenge had arrived. Early morning. Sitting in my new company office, my assistant handed me a file. I opened it to find it filled entirely with information about Ethan Hayes, a stack of paper thick enough to be substantial. After carefully reviewing it, I discovered his activities were far more extensive than I had imagined. Not only did he date various women outside his marriage, but he also kept mistresses, multiple ones, shockingly housed in different buildings within the same residential complex. He even had illegitimate children. I had to admit, Ethan Hayes hid his tracks very well, far more cautiously than in the previous life. Otherwise, this scandal would have blown up online long ago. This could be major news. I silently closed the file, gave my assistant an address, and instructed him to deliver all this information directly to Scarlett Miller, a big surprise for her. In the last life, she didn't believe me and cheated on me with Ethan. This life let her clean up her own mess. Knowing her, she would investigate thoroughly. Once she confirmed Ethan's betrayal, she would definitely cause a huge scene. Then I could just sit back and watch the show. A dog-eat-dog fight would surely be spectacular. Just as I expected 3 days later. Ethan Hayes dating beauty in hotel. Ethan Hayes keeping over a dozen mistresses in same complex. Scarlett Miller catches Ethan Hayes cheating, beats him up. Scarlett Miller confronts Ethan Hayes about illegitimate children. Headlines about Ethan Hayes and Scarlett Miller dominated the top trending spots online. This series of scandals severely impacted Ethan's company. Most of his business partners quickly abandoned ship. It must have dealt him a massive blow. There was even a video circulating of Scarlett violently attacking Ethan in a hotel. Curious, I clicked on it. In the video, Scarlett wielded her handbag, striking Ethan repeatedly, screaming furiously, "How could you do this to me? You actually cheated and kept mistresses. Who gave you the audacity? How much more have you been hiding from me? You stopped caring about me long ago, didn't you?" It was always about this homewrecker. Scarlett stared venomously at the mistress cowering behind him. The mistress trembled behind Ethan, terrified of getting hit. Ethan fought back, yelling, "Stop acting crazy, you old woman. If it weren't for me, would you have everything you have now? I never should have married you." Her eyes blazed with fury as she screamed at him, "I'm going to kill her right now." She tried to get around Ethan to grab the mistress. The mistress shrieked in terror behind him. Ethan, losing his patience, slapped Scarlett hard across the face. Her eyes widened in shock. She stumbled back a few steps. "You dared to hit me? Damn right I hit you. Is it wrong for me to want a son?" he yelled, pointing at Scarlett. "So what if I cheated? What are you going to do about it?" "Divorce." Her eyes narrowed, and she spat out the word through gritted teeth. "Fine by me, who's afraid of you?" Ethan shouted back defiantly. "Have you forgotten who gave you all this?" Scarlett threw her handbag onto the floor. The video ended abruptly. Watching the scene, I burst out laughing from my chair. She completely deserved all of this. Suddenly, a message from Victoria popped up on my phone, asking me to come over for dinner. I happily obliged. After dinner, I recounted the amusing events of the day to her. Chapter 7. 2 days remained until the wedding. I decided to go to the bridal shop early to order the perfect wedding dress for Victoria, intending to surprise her. In the parking lot, Scarlett suddenly appeared out of nowhere, throwing her arms around me, murmuring, "You still love me, right?" I quickly pushed her away. "Are you crazy? Stay away from me." Her eyes welled up with tears as she grabbed my arm. "Sincere, I regret it. Please, forgive me. I shouldn't have married him back then. He's just a bastard, actually. I still love you." "Can you forgive me, please?" I scoffed. "That has nothing to do with me. I don't love you anymore. I'm getting married soon. Stop coming near me. We were both reborn. Forgive me one more time. I won't do anything stupid again," she sobbed. "You can't have forgotten me, right?" I violently shook off her hand, shouting, "Stop pestering me or don't blame me for getting rough." She slumped weakly to the ground, then scrambled to grab my leg, looking up pleadingly. Okay, I won't bother you anymore. Can you just lend me some money? Please?" That bastard, Ethan. He built his company over 10 years using my family's money, and in the end, I got nothing. After divorcing him, I was the one left with nothing. My parents are in the hospital now, and I can't afford the medical bills. Please, can you just help me out? Just consider it helping me one last time." She looked at me with pleading eyes, completely devoid of her previous arrogance. In the past life, she never begged anyone, especially not me. In her eyes, I was just an insignificant person. Even worse, she conspired with Ethan to set the fire that burned my parents alive, and she hid it from me for 2 whole years. This life, I wouldn't be lenient either, I snorted coldly. "You reap what you sow. Stop talking, I won't lend you anything, so give up that hope. Besides, have you forgotten why we both died before reincarnating? Ethan put poison in your wine glass too. You were deceived from the very beginning." Hearing my words, she seemed stunned, unable to process it for a long moment. I kicked her hand away, walked straight to my car, got in and drove off, leaving her sitting there alone on the ground, her eyes empty and vacant. Chapter 8. Wedding Day. I drove the lead car of the wedding procession towards Victoria's home. The moment had finally arrived. My heart pounded with uncontrollable excitement. Suddenly, the cars ahead stopped. One of the groomsmen got out and yelled, "Are you suicidal? Blocking cars with your body? Get out of the way, move it." "I need to see Mr. Clark," the man shouted back. "I need to see him." Confused, I got out of the car. When he saw me, he rushed straight over. "Mr. Clark, please save me. I really can't go on like this." I tilted my head, looking at the man before me dressed in ragged clothes. It was Ethan Hayes. If it weren't for his voice, I wouldn't have recognized him at all. He knelt before me, continuing, "I won't oppose you anymore. Please, show mercy. Let me off the hook. My company went bankrupt. I have nothing left. Don't send me to prison. Please help me, okay?" Faced with his pleas, I remained silent. Other onlookers gathered, pointing and whispering. "Is that Ethan Hayes from the trending news? The one who cheated and kept mistresses?" Yes, I heard he even mocked Sincere Clark at Ms. Beaumont's birthday party. How did he end up like this? It's actually quite pathetic. I heard his company went bankrupt and was seized by the police. He was involved in illegal business dealings privately. Looks like he's going to jail. What? Did he escape? He completely ignored the mockery and stares from others, his eyes fixed solely on me, awaiting my answer. My mind flashed with images of his smug arrogance from the past life, juxtaposed with his current state. I remembered his face as he poisoned me, ugly and repulsive. I answered coldly, "Impossible. This is all what you deserve. Don't expect me to help you. Prison is the best way for you to atone." Seeing his plea wasn't working, he dropped the act entirely, standing up and laughing maniacally like a madman. The next second, he lunged at me, holding a knife to my neck, his voice vicious. "Since you won't help me, we'll just die together. I don't care anymore. There's no way I'm going to prison if I die. I'm taking you with me. Others saw this and started to move forward to rescue me. He backed away step by step, yelling at them, "Anyone comes closer, and he dies," the knife pressed closer to my neck. Hearing this, the others didn't dare make a rash move, afraid he'd hurt me in his agitated state. They tried to reason with him gently. However, Ethan didn't listen to a single word. I tried to placate him, echoing his words, "I'll help you. Let's talk this through calmly. You don't want to go to prison, right? I promise you." He sneered contemptuously. "Where's that arrogance from before? Weren't you refusing to help me? Too late. I've changed my mind now. You can't let me go to prison, and you also have to transfer your company to me, along with your latest intelligent AI technology." Faced with his shameless demands, I remained silent for a moment. He grew agitated again. "Speak up, or you die." "My knife doesn't show mercy." As the blade wavered, I reluctantly agreed. Immediately, he demanded, "Get someone to drive a car quickly. I need to leave here." Now one of the groomsmen came forward and opened a car door. Just as we were about to get into the car, someone darted around from behind the vehicle and struck Ethan hard on the head. Taking advantage of his distraction, I quickly broke free. The others swarmed forward and restrained him. Ethan's knife was kicked aside. He roared furiously, "Let me go, Sincere Clark. You tricked me. Let me go. If you have the guts, I'll kill you." As the sound of police sirens grew louder, he switched back to pleading with me. "I don't want to go to prison. Save me, Mr. Clark. Mr. Clark, I'm begging you." I remained silent, watching impassively as the police led him away into their car. In what felt like no time, I was at the wedding ceremony. Everything proceeded smoothly. "Do you take this handsome man to be your lawfully wedded husband?" Victoria looked at me deeply. "I do. Do you take this beautiful woman to be your lawfully wedded wife?" I looked at her deeply. "I do." Epilogue. After the wedding, Victoria and I went on our honeymoon trip. Reflecting on the experiences and feelings of my past life, I realized I was no longer the carefree young man I once was. Reborn, I finally understood the reasoning behind my parents' previous actions and advice. This moment, in this life, was a happiness I had never known before. These days of travel were the happiest, most relaxing days of my life. I never imagined I would reach this point, with the person I love most by my side, and my parents still healthy and safe. We were sunbathing together on the beach. But as I gazed at the ocean ahead, I still felt a little troubled. Thinking back to before the wedding, I couldn't understand why Ethan Hayes had sought me out, couldn't understand why he had begged me to let him off, couldn't understand why his company went bankrupt at the time. I hadn't uncovered any evidence of his illegal activities. Just as I was mulling over these details, Victoria turned to me and asked, "Honey, what are you thinking about?" I replied, "Nothing." She sat up, looking intently at me. "I guess you're wondering why Ethan Hayes ended up in prison, right?" I was suddenly startled. She had guessed, actually. "I did it all," she confessed calmly. "I investigated him, just helping you out along the way." So, it was all her handiwork then. Everything made sense. I stared at her, speechless. She asked, "Are you mad at me?" I smiled. Hearing my words, she let out a deep breath, as if a heavy weight had finally lifted from her shoulders. Then she smiled brightly. "I have some more good news to tell you. I'm pregnant." She pointed to her belly. I jumped up excitedly, unable to resist spinning her around in my arms. So this was what happiness felt like. The end. It was the New Year's Eve party, and someone had swapped my pineapple juice for a beer. That same day, I had taken a strong antibiotic. I barely pulled through after being rushed to the ER, but when I woke up, my wife was shielding the man who did it. "Let's just drop this. Be the bigger person. Sincere." He didn't mean it. I had no intention of letting the man who had been shamelessly orbiting my wife get away with it. But she cut me off, her brow furrowed in frustration. "Enough, he just graduated college. He's just a kid who doesn't know any better. Why are you picking on him? Will you only be happy once you've ruined the rest of his life?" Seeing her protect him so fiercely, my heart turned to ash. Then why don't you two just build a life together? What do you mean, build a life together? Sincere Vance, can you stop being so damn petty? What's wrong with a boss looking out for her subordinate? And you have the nerve to slander us like this. Ruining a perfectly good New Year's Eve party, my words struck a nerve. Flustered and cornered, Victoria Sterling's voice rose to a shrill shout. I let out a cold laugh and shot back. Oh? Some looking out, that is. It even surpasses the love you have for your own husband. When I collapsed at the party, you were the one who took a step back, weren't you? Victoria froze, then visibly forced herself to calm down, her chest heaving as she suppressed her anger. Sincere, I know you're upset. I will punish Leo for this, I promise. I'll give you a satisfactory result, but calling the police is completely unnecessary. He just graduated, and how do you plan to punish him? Having stared death in the face, everything suddenly seemed painfully clear. A dull throb started in my temples, and I cut through her rambling. Victoria was taken aback. I'll dock 3 days' pay, she stammered. You'll dock 3 days' pay for something that almost killed me? I couldn't believe it. The absurdity of it almost made me laugh. Enough, he didn't do it on purpose. He's a kid fresh out of college. What money does he have? He has rent. He has to live. This is already a severe punishment. How is he supposed to survive next month? Victoria's face turned ugly, her expression begging me to back down. But I had lost all interest in talking to her. I pulled out my phone to call 911. Just graduated? I'm sorry, but as an adult, he's responsible for his own actions. As I was about to dial the last digit, Victoria lunged forward, snatched the phone from my hand and ended the call. Do you have to ruin his future? She screamed. He's so young, what does he know? I just want to tell the police the facts. He knows exactly what he did. My brow tightened as I tried to get my phone back. The atmosphere in the hospital room grew tense, a standoff between us with neither willing to yield. Knock, knock, knock. The door opened and in walked Leo, holding a fruit basket. 2 perfectly placed tears trickled down his face. He entered with a look of timid fear, and the moment his eyes met mine, he bowed deeply. I'm so sorry, Sincere. This is all my fault. I am truly deeply sorry. Leo, come, sit down. Seeing him, Victoria rushed to his side, taking the basket and patting his shoulder. Look at you, you shouldn't have. Sincere is fine. Why are you crying? Don't be scared. I'm sorry, Victoria. I've caused you so much trouble. That only made it worse. Leo's eyes reddened further as if he were genuinely terrified. His choked sob made Victoria's heart ache for him. As his eyes filled with tears, he glanced up at me. For a split second, they were full of triumph. I frowned, about to tell him to drop the act, but in the next moment he dropped to his knees in front of my hospital bed. He lowered his head, his voice cracking as he cried, I'm sorry, Sincere, I'm so sorry. I didn't know you were on medication. I only swapped the drinks to liven up the atmosphere. I swear I meant nothing else by it. Leo, what are you doing? Get up, Victoria was stunned. She tried to pull him to his feet, then turned to me, her voice laced with fury when she saw my blank expression. He's already doing this and you still don't believe him? Sincere, when did your heart become so cold? Forgive him. Now stop making things difficult for this kid, Leo. Please get up. I can't stand to see you like this. I won. A get up not until Sincere forgives me. Tears streamed down Leo's face as he stubbornly knelt, demanding my forgiveness. A headache was blooming behind my eyes. I was tired of his performance. Seeing that I remained unmoved, Victoria strode over and slapped me hard across the face. Sincere Vance, you son of a bitch, crack, it happened so fast. A fiery sting spread across my right cheek. That slap obliterated the last shred of affection I had for her. Victoria and I met in college. We were in the same top-tier finance program, a place where most students came from families with connections and money. But Victoria was different. She had gotten in on pure merit and planned to bootstrap her own company from nothing. Her tenacity captivated me almost instantly. It was no surprise we ended up together. I was the one who pursued her, and I learned so much from her. My family never approved of Victoria. When we graduated, they had already arranged a strategic marriage for me, assuming she was just a temporary dalliance before I came back home to the family business. But youth is rebellious. The fire I had back then is long gone. I cut ties with my family to be with Victoria. We'd been married for 3 years now, together for 5. In those 3 years, with my help, Victoria's career had flourished. There was a time she would have protected me just as fiercely as she was protecting Leo now. She once stood up to a condescending client who was trying to force me to drink, and she'd stay up late to cook for me. I truly believed we would spend the rest of our lives together. But as our finances improved, our emotional connection withered. Ever since Leo joined the company as an intern, Victoria's attitude toward me had taken a nosedive. I heard she had personally requested he be transferred to her team as her assistant. After that, she was always traveling for business or working late, and Leo was always with her. The official reason was developing his skills, but who knew what skills they were developing? It didn't take long for rumors to spread through the office that Victoria was sleeping with her assistant. My mind was drifting when another slap, just as sharp, snapped me back to reality. I slowly looked up at Victoria. She was gritting her teeth, enunciating each word with venom. Sincere, accept, Leo's, apology. Right now, or I will make your life a living hell. Victoria, stop please, don't fight because of me. Leo, ever the actor, waited until after she had hit me to intervene. He then stood up decisively, a look of grim resolve on his face. Sincere, since you still won't forgive me, I'll turn myself in. I'm willing to spend the rest of my life atoning for what I did before either of us could react. He bolted out of the hospital room. Leo, where are you going? Don't do anything stupid. Victoria scrambled after him, but not before throwing one last threat over her shoulder. Sincere, if anything happens to him, I'll never forgive you. The door slammed shut, and the room was finally quiet. I let out a long breath, feeling an immense wave of exhaustion wash over me. Of course Leo wasn't going to turn himself in. His entire performance was designed to drive a wedge between Victoria and me. It was such an obvious ploy, but only Victoria would be naive enough to fall for it. Sure enough, a few minutes later, she posted on her Instagram story. It was a picture of the scenery just outside the hospital with the caption, "I'll always protect you." She didn't hide it from anyone. A blatant, public declaration. She never came back to see me after chasing after him. I suppose since I was out of mortal danger, there was no longer a need. I let out a cold, humorless chuckle, unfazed by her passive-aggressive provocation. My stomach had been pumped last night, and I had no appetite, but I couldn't stand being in the hospital a moment longer. I arranged with the doctor to be discharged the next day. When I got home with my things, I found Victoria there. "You're back?" She was sitting on the sofa. The faint smile on her face vanished the moment she saw me. Her tone was cool and detached, and she didn't bother asking about my health. She clearly hadn't expected me back so soon. She had been in a good mood, but my arrival instantly soured it. For a marriage to reach this point of transparent pretense was truly pathetic. "I'm back," I replied, my own voice flat. It was then I noticed a subconscious tension in her posture. I frowned, and a moment later I heard the sound of a shower running in the bathroom. There was someone else in our home. Who's in the shower? Even though a suspicion had already formed in my mind, a sliver of hope remained as I asked the question. But at my words, Victoria's expression soured as she offered a forced explanation. "It's Leo. The water's been out in his building for a week, so I brought him here to shower after work. Don't overthink it, his water is really out." "Okay." "I'm not overthinking it." My calm response seemed to throw her off. She studied my face, searching for any sign of anger. When she found none, she let out a sigh of relief. It's a rare day when you decide to be reasonable and not so dramatic. Dramatic? So that's how she saw my reactions? I didn't answer. I walked straight into our bedroom, pulled a suitcase from the closet, and began packing in silence. Throughout this time, Victoria never once came in to check on me. As I packed, I realized how few possessions I had accumulated in our years of marriage. I've never been a materialistic person. I left behind everything Victoria had ever given me, and everything we had acquired together. I didn't want them, and I certainly didn't want the memories. When I came out with my suitcase, Victoria was blow-drying Leo's hair. She was kneeling on the sofa, laughing and talking with him. They looked like a picture-perfect couple, making me feel utterly redundant in my own home. Her back was to me, and the dryer was too loud for her to hear my footsteps. But Leo saw me the instant I stepped out of the room. He slowly lifted his eyes, a smug, triumphant smirk playing on his lips. His expression screamed, "See, in the end, you can't win against me." I remained expressionless. I had no desire to win, nor did I feel like I had lost. I just quietly watched as Victoria, with infinite patience and a gentle expression, finished drying his hair. I couldn't remember the last time she had looked at me with such tenderness. I realized it wasn't that work stress made her irritable at home. It was just that her tenderness was reserved for someone else. The dryer switched off. Victoria turned, and her face tensed when she saw me. "I was just drying his hair," she explained hastily. "I was afraid he'd get a headache and miss work tomorrow if it wasn't dry." "I know. You don't have to explain everything to me." My flat, indifferent tone was all the opening Leo needed. He put on a timid expression. "Sincere, I feel like I'm not welcome here. I should probably go." As he made a show of leaving, Victoria quickly stopped him. "You just showered. You'll catch a cold if you go out now. I never said you weren't welcome." "I'm the one who's extra here," I said, retrieving my suitcase from the bedroom. "You can stay. I'm leaving." I headed for the door. Seeing my suitcase, Victoria's face darkened, and she moved to block my path. "Sincere, what is this? I was wondering why you were so calm when you got home. Is this another one of your schemes?" A bitter smile touched my lips. I couldn't be bothered to guess what kind of monster she thought I was. Thanks to a certain someone's manipulations, I looked at her calmly, my voice devoid of any emotion. "It's not a scheme, Victoria. Check your email. I'll be sending you the divorce agreement. You want to divorce me?" To my surprise, she didn't fly into a rage at those words. Instead, she frowned, a flicker of confusion in her eyes. "Sincere, you have no grounds for divorce. All I did was look out for Leo, and I only see him as a little brother. If you're doing this, I can only assume you never loved me and have no feelings left for me. Think whatever you want. I'm divorcing you, and that's final." I didn't even spare her a glance. Arguing now was pointless. My resolute attitude finally seemed to get through to her. She had assumed I was just being dramatic again, but now she realized I was serious. She instinctively reached out and grabbed my arm. "Sincere, stop this. Let's just talk." I shook her arm off, a wave of revulsion washing over me. "Don't touch me with that." I turned and walked away. Victoria stumbled back, and her own anger flared. "Sincere, where will you go without me?" she yelled at my back. "Back to your family? Don't you forget you cut ties with them years ago. You get back here." Did I say I agree to this divorce? I acted as if I heard nothing. I got in my car and drove straight to the office. After clearing out my desk, I went to HR to submit my resignation. Sincere, are you sure about this?" The HR manager saw my stony expression and probably guessed what was happening. She held my resignation form and asked tentatively, "Yes." I understood her hesitation. Everyone in the company knew I was the husband of the CEO, Victoria Sterling. Though she always maintained a professional boundary, the private gossip was unavoidable. As expected, a troubled look crossed her face. I can't really make this decision. Shouldn't we wait for Miss Sterling to get back?" "No need. My position doesn't require her signature for approval. Just process it. Victoria founded this company 5 years ago, and I was one of its first employees. Back then, with only a dozen people, I was a technician, a sales rep, a delivery boy. I did everything. But in the last 2 years, as the company stabilized, Victoria had kept me in a low-level position, earning a basic salary that was less than what she paid Leo, her personal assistant. The HR manager sighed. She knew that, according to company policy, my position didn't require CEO approval. She signed the form, probably just hoping Victoria's impending wrath wouldn't be directed at her. I went back to my desk, picked up my cardboard box of belongings, and walked out, feeling the sympathetic gazes of my colleagues and hearing their hushed whispers. He's really leaving? I really liked Sincere. When I first started, he was the one who taught me everything about sales. It's all because of our CEO's new assistant. She's been a little too... I heard their words, but my expression didn't change. As I stepped out of the building, I saw Victoria arriving with Leo. Her eyes landed on the box in my hands, and her face contorted with rage. Sincere, how long are you going to keep this up? You want to leave me that badly? You're even quitting the company? Sincere, calm down, Leo interjected, his tone dripping with false concern. I heard you've been with this company for years. Don't be so impulsive. I ignored him completely, not even giving him a glance. Victoria took several deep breaths, struggling to control her fury. Fine, you're dead set on divorcing me, is that it? Then let's do it. I'll sign the papers right now. Sincere, Vance, you'd better not regret this at that. I stopped walking and finally showed a reaction. Since you're signing, let's go to City Hall this afternoon. That afternoon, Victoria and I finalized the divorce. Still fuming, she left immediately with Leo in tow. I had no desire for further conversation. I was just grateful it was over so quickly. Standing outside the municipal building, I took a deep breath and pulled out my phone, dialing a number I hadn't called more than a few times in 3 years. After 2 rings, a stern, authoritative voice answered, tinged with surprise. Hello? Sincere? I pursed my lips, my voice hoarse. Dad, Mom, I want to come home. My father was silent on the other end for a long moment before he let out a cold snort. Dad, you still remember you have a father? You still remember this family? Let me tell you, Sincere, this house isn't a hotel you can come and go from as you please. I raised you to be. You answered my call so quickly, and you still have my number saved. Dad, you wanted me to call, didn't you? After all these years, I finally understood that. My father, with his sharp tongue and soft heart, had never stopped loving me. Before my father could deny it, my mother took the phone. Her voice was choked with emotion. Sincere, oh honey. It's enough that you want to come home. When will you be here? Don't listen to your father. His eyes are red too. He's just all talk. He's missed you terribly. Hearing my mother's voice, a pang of guilt hit me. I had truly let them down. They had sent me to a top university, hoping I would return to work for the family, eventually. Take over the business and marry a woman I loved who would also be an asset to our empire. Instead, I had a massive falling out with them over Victoria and the arranged marriage. In the 5 years I was with Victoria, 3 of them married. I never asked them for a single penny. Thankfully, it had only been 3 years. It wasn't too late to make amends. I drove home that day. Parking my modest car in the garage, I looked at the collection of sports cars and luxury SUVs and realized my hard-earned vehicle couldn't even compare to one of their tires. The butler took my luggage. After 3 years, I was back in the Vance family mansion. When I entered, my parents were already waiting for me at the dining table. Although my father scowled when he saw me, the table was laden with all my favorite dishes. My mother rushed to me, her eyes red as she cupped my face. She had clearly been crying just moments before. You've gotten thinner. You must have suffered out there. Before I could respond, my father spoke up gruffly. That was his choice. Didn't Victoria come with you? I never acknowledged her as a Vance daughter-in-law, and she can't even be bothered to visit me? How wonderful. His words made me realize I hadn't told them about the divorce. I had only said I wanted to come home. They had prepared themselves to finally accept Victoria into the family. They hadn't even attended our wedding, but for my sake they were now willing to let her in. I was silent for a moment. My parents, shrewd as they were, instantly knew something was wrong between Victoria and me. My father's expression softened for a fraction of a second. If she didn't come, so be it. Since it's over between you two, I'll be canceling all our contracts with her company. Dad, you... I stared at him in astonishment. My mother just smiled and patted my shoulder. Oh, you didn't really think your father was serious when he said he was disowning you, did you? He's been keeping a close eye on Ms. Sterling's company all these years. During the last market downturn, it was our family that secretly bailed her out. That's the only reason her little company didn't go under. Her explanation revealed the truth. They had been watching over me all along. The reason Victoria's company had been so successful, miraculously, avoiding every crisis, was because of my family's hidden support. Dad, why didn't you tell me sooner? I sighed deeply. My father, exposed by my mother, looked slightly uncomfortable and cleared his throat. What was I supposed to do? I'm your father. I wasn't going to let you and her starve, you troublesome kid. I'm telling you. It's good that it's over. There's a gala in a few days. You will attend as the eldest son of the Vance family and show your face people who don. And know any better might think something happened to my son. I didn't dare refuse. I had to agree. After all, what I thought was my own hard work was in fact built on their support. Yes, sincere, my mother added. You should go to the gala. There's a good friend of yours from childhood. What was her name again? Serena. She recently returned to the country and mentioned she wanted to see you. You two should reconnect. I instantly understood their agenda. Though I wasn't in the mood for romance, I had just returned home and didn't want to start an argument. I'd just treat it as catching up with an old friend. The gala was a massive affair. It was supposed to be a standard event, but because of my return, my father had booked the city's grandest hotel ballroom, determined to show all his business partners that the heir to the Vance fortune was back. And Serena was surprisingly lively and articulate, having grown even more beautiful. Sincere Vance, don't tell me you've forgotten me. You said you were going to marry me when we were kids. We laughed about that for a while. It turned out that time and distance couldn't diminish a true friendship, and we ended up having a wonderful time talking. Later, as I was coming out of the restroom, I saw Victoria. Her eyes were red. Sincere, I really misjudged you. You divorce me and find a new flame just like that. It's only been a few days. Her accusation caught me off guard. I hadn't expected her to be at this gala. Her company wasn't prominent enough to receive an invitation from my father. But I didn't dwell on it. I just replied coldly, "It's a lot better than you cheating on me." I had no desire to speak with her and turned to leave, but she grabbed my arm. "Wait, what? What is your relationship with Mr. Vance? You both have the same last name. Is he a relative of yours?" Looking at her panicked face, I found her naivety almost pitiful. I had never told her about my family's true status, not wanting to pressure or worry her. Victoria only knew I had a falling out with my well-off family for her sake. But she had never connected the powerful CEO, Mr. Vance, to me. My parents, who disliked her immensely, had never met her. Through a series of coincidences, she never realized he was my father. No relation. I wasn't about to use my family's name to intimidate her. It would only look like my family was bullying her. I tried to leave again, but her grip on my arm was surprisingly strong. Victoria bit her lip, her expression turning desperate. "You're lying. I just saw you with him. He was introducing you to other CEOs. He even straightened your collar." "What is your relationship?" "Sincere. Did you tell Mr. Vance to cancel the contracts with my company? How else could my biggest client pull out the day after we divorced?" Do you have any idea how much effort it took me to get an invitation to this gala just to get a meeting with him? I said nothing. The answer was so blindingly obvious, yet she couldn't bring herself to believe it, choosing instead to suspect me. Seeing my silence, she became even more self-righteous. I hope you won't let your personal feelings ruin a win-win partnership. Win? What a joke. A woman's voice cut her off sharply. I felt the grip on my arm loosen. Turning, I saw it was Serena. She confidently linked her arm with mine and looked Victoria up and down with a deliberate, dismissive air. You must be the MS Sterling I've heard about. Frankly, have you still not figured it out? For a group like the Vance Corporation, the pocket change they make from partnering with your company isn't a win-win. It's called charity for a small business. And that tiny drop in the ocean was only given to you because their eldest son happened to be gracing your company with his presence. Even though Victoria had already suspected it, hearing Serena state it so bluntly made her stumble back a step. She couldn't believe that I was the heir to the Vance Corporation, that all the major deals she had been so proud of were simply handouts from my family. Her face was a mask of humiliation. She tried to say something, but Serena cut her off again. You weren't invited to this gala. You used someone else's invitation, didn't you? Before Victoria could argue, security guards, summoned by Serena, arrived to escort her out. As they led her away, her face was a mixture of shock and disbelief. She kept trying to talk to me. Sincere, listen to me, Sincere. I ignored her and turned to Serena, who flicked her hair back and gave me a sly smile. Sorry about that, Sincere. I overheard everything. With people like her, you have to play hardball. You're too much of a gentleman. She'll just walk all over you. I chuckled, unable to argue with that, and nodded. The rest of the evening went smoothly. My father introduced me to countless partners, explaining that I had been studying abroad for the past few years. Everyone praised me as a brilliant young man. I shook hands and exchanged pleasantries, thinking that if we hadn't met in college, a person like Victoria would never have even had the chance to meet me. I thought she wouldn't cause any more trouble, but after the gala, on my way home, Victoria ambushed me. I don't know how she found the location of the Vance mansion or how she tricked the gate guards, but she probably used my name. As soon as I parked my car, I saw her approaching with a forced smile. Sincere, why are you here? My head started to ache. She didn't answer directly, instead adopting a submissive posture, her face plastered with a sycophantic grin. I came today because I hope you'll come back. Sincere, I'm only just now realizing that the company, it can't function without you. It can't function without me? More like it can't function without my father's contracts. A bitter laugh escaped me. The absurdity was staggering. What kind of joke is this, Victoria? I'm not coming back. The thought of you and Leo makes me sick. How could I possibly go back? I'll fire Leo. I'll cut off all contact with him forever. Sincere, please come back in. Her panic, Victoria lunged forward to grab my hands, but I smoothly sidestepped her. Save it, Victoria. Don't waste your energy. We're already divorced. The moment I said that, tears began to stream down her face. Within seconds, she was sobbing uncontrollably. Then what about all our years together? We were together for 5 years, Sincere. You can't do this to me. What will happen to my company if you leave? Her attempt at emotional blackmail ignited my anger. Victoria, you have no right to talk about our years together, I roared. Where was your concern for our relationship when I was dying in the hospital? When you were busy defending Leo, did you ever once think about everything I've done for you over the years? Victoria froze, stunned. She had never seen me so furious. Tears hung on her lashes, forgotten. She opened her mouth, but all she could manage was a weak defense. But Leo really didn't mean it. He already told me. Really? If he didn't mean it, why did he have to do it secretly? At this point, I don't care if he meant it or not. If you want to argue right and wrong, you can call the police and let them decide I pinched the bridge of my nose. The fact that I hadn't already reported it after the divorce was the last act of mercy I could show her. Victoria hesitated, then nodded with a look of determination. I believe Leo, but if you insist, I will call the police. And if it turns out he wasn't trying to harm you, Sincere, you will come back with me. And I promise I will keep my distance from him from now on. I gave a non-committal shrug, only telling her to make the call quickly if she was going to do it. When Victoria and I arrived with the police at Leo's apartment, he opened the door and froze, his face a mask of panic. What's going on? Victoria, Sincere, I haven't done anything illegal, have I? Haven't you? I asked coldly, not giving him a chance to speak. You haven't done anything? Then why was I in the hospital? At my words, the color drained from Leo's face. The police quickly took him to the station and began their investigation. The results came back swiftly. It was a clear-cut case of attempted murder. The company's security cameras showed Leo seeing me take my medication, then rummaging through a drawer to confirm it was the specific antibiotic that reacts with alcohol. At the party, he was caught on camera furtively swapping my juice for beer, even casting a guilty glance toward the security camera in the corner. I suddenly remembered why he had been so brazen. A colleague had mentioned that the main hall's security cameras were down for maintenance on New Year's Eve. He must have thought he was in the clear. As the police laid out the evidence, Victoria was dumbfounded. You were trying to kill Sincere? She demanded in the interrogation room. After rounds of questioning, Leo's initial denials had crumbled. He looked up at Victoria, his face completely stripped of the innocent, boy-next-door charm. All that remained was a cold, sneering contempt. He began to scream at her. You idiot, why did you call the police? I thought I could use you to get away with it, and you turn around and report me. What the hell were you thinking? You bitch. Victoria stumbled backward, unable to believe the venom in his voice as his true self was revealed. The two of them immediately erupted into a shouting match. You told me it wasn't on purpose. Would you have protected me if I didn't? Isn't that what you like? Me playing the victim, calling you Victoria all sweet and innocent? Leo, now in handcuffs, seemed almost relaxed now that the charade was over. He leaned back in the interrogation chair, his eyes raking over Victoria's body with a lewd, dismissive gaze. A short, sharp laugh escaped his nose. You just wanted to sleep with me, didn't you? What did you say? Victoria eventually emerged from the interrogation room in a daze, completely shattered. I heard the argument had escalated until she tried to attack him and had to be pulled out by an officer. With the truth revealed, there was nothing more to say. I nodded to a nearby officer. I'll be going now, officer. Please contact me if you need anything else. I turned to leave, but I had only taken 2 steps when Victoria threw her arms around me from behind. Her grip was tight. Not wanting to make a scene in front of the police, I sighed. Victoria, let go of me. Sincere, I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. I'm begging you, come back with me. I misjudged you. It was all my fault. Victoria's voice was a choked sob, her arms tightening around me. I have no reason to go back, Victoria. I find you disgusting. My voice was ice. I reached down and slowly pried her fingers off me, one by one, until I was free. Victoria let out a desperate guttural cry and scrambled to block my path. I never did anything with Leo that crossed the line. You have to believe me. I only looked out for him because he looks so much like my first love from high school. Look, I brought a picture to show you. Her hands trembled as she pulled out a faded photograph I had never seen before, trying to prove her point. I stared at it, unmoved. That was no excuse for the hell she had put me through. Please, she wept, making promises she couldn't keep. Please come back, Sincere. I'll be so much better to you. I'll make everything up to you. It's too late, Victoria. I can never accept you again. From now on, let's just go our separate ways. Don't contact me anymore. I pushed past her without hesitation and walked out of the station, leaving her to her broken sobs. After that day, Victoria didn't give up so easily. She tried to win me back through sheer persistence. She even declared that she would let her company go bankrupt before she would stop trying. I had nothing left to say to her. My family wouldn't resort to such low-handed tactics. We had simply ceased all business with her company. The only reason they had partnered with her in the first place was because of me. Without that connection, why would the Vance Corporation bother with her when they had far better options? It was a simple business decision. Perhaps Victoria thought that if I returned, my family's influence would instantly allow her to rebuild her empire, making her grand promises feel painless and empty. Without my family's contracts and support, and with her own heart no longer in her company soon dwindled to nothing. Teetering on the edge of bankruptcy, Victoria started waiting for me outside my family's estate, ambushing me at every opportunity. Once, she even caused a scene at the Vance Corporation headquarters, screaming that she was the Vance family's daughter-in-law before being dragged out by security. "Sincere Vance, I'm telling you, you can't get rid of me. I won't give up on you. I really know I was wrong. What more do you want from me?" As she was being taken away, her eyes, blazing with a terrifying, obsessive light, were locked on me. I was beyond tired of it. To escape the drama, Serena and I left the country. After that, I never saw Victoria again. During our time abroad, our bond deepened, and both our families were thrilled with our growing relationship. Eventually, I proposed to Serena. The wedding was an extravagant affair, attended by nearly every major figure in the business world and swarmed by media. It was broadcast live back home. Surrounded by blessings, I exchanged rings with Serena, filled with an indescribable happiness. The next time I heard news of Victoria, it was of her death. She had committed suicide, not long after my wedding. She had seen the live broadcast of the spectacular wedding on television. In a fit of rage, she had smashed her TV. After neighbors complained, she was taken to the police station and counseled for several days. She seemed to have returned to normal when she went home, but the next day, she was found dead in her living room. She had finally given up. After leaving a letter, she ended her life with the same combination that had almost ended mine: pills and alcohol. When I returned to the country, the police gave me the letter. I opened it. Inside was a short, simple note of apology and blessing. "I'm sorry, Sincere. I was wrong about everything. I hope you can be happy. Congratulations on your marriage. If there is a next life, let me be the one to pursue you. If there is a next life, Victoria, I hope we never meet again." I read the letter, a storm of complicated emotions swirling inside me. Then I set it on fire, and with it, I said a final goodbye to the past.